Hello, Africa. Welcome to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices Show. This is the show that tackles issues pertaining to women as they contribute to national development. We are here at the Accra International Conference Center, where we are having the Global Women's Business and Professional Conference and Business Expo 2022, and it's organized by the U.S. Ghana Chamber of Commerce. We've got a lot of speakers here today, and I'm really privileged to be speaking to one of them right now. He's going to be introducing himself, and he will describe what his presentation looks like. Do stay.
Thank you, Mrs. T. My name is David D. Simons of Ghana by way of United States, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm here speaking on a couple of topics. We just spoke on we did a networking session where we focused on how to network utilizing networking skills, and then later today I'll be going into social media marketing because I run a digital marketing agency called Kingdom Social Media, where we help influential leaders, speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants to generate leads and sales online, leveraging Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media platforms.
Wow, amazing. When you said social media, I just ticked. Because you know what? It seems to be the newest way of making money or getting attention. Anybody who maybe in the past never used to have attention, you just need to put on the right content and then somehow, boom, you're everywhere.
Right.
So are there some tips you're going to be sharing with us that are not here on how to be able to put together a good content that people are going to be able to see, appreciate, and respond to?
Absolutely. I think it all starts with knowing yourself. And today we live in an era where the personal brand is overtaking the company brand. So you've got to put the personal brand out there first. And I know in Ghana it can be kind of other way around, right? The corporate brand and then the personal, but we're changing as a society. We want to know who's behind, who's making the decisions, what's their way of thinking, what's their philosophies, what's their values. So we want to make sure that's at the forefront. And then when it comes to technique with social media, it really is going to involve a lot of like what we're doing here, video, leveraging video and not being afraid to come in front of the camera and let people see you and be authentic and continue to be consistent. That's what it boils down to.
Consistency is the key, because sometimes you find people putting videos together. Today they are being comedians, tomorrow they are so serious, and there's no consistency. If they want to be in the women's space today, they're in the women's space. Next time they are in children's space. So all those things kind of affect how people respond to whatever content you put out there.
Absolutely. You are what you post, right? So when you consistently post chaos, you're going to be consistently seen as chaos. So I always say that it's better to be consistently good than inconsistently great. You know what I mean? Because if you have someone that we might see them post and they have something one day and then the next day we don't see them maybe for the next 3 weeks. Well, now we've kind of established a brand of inconsistency. So be consistent, be clear on who your message is, be clear on who your target is, and as what I always tell folks.
I love the fact that you mentioned something about consistency, because sometimes creating these videos or content is not that easy. But if you don't, come out consistently, people will see you as someone who is not consistent. So they're like, all right. However, sometimes people also feel that maybe if they're always posting, engagement will drop. Because it's like, okay, I saw you today, and then next hour I'm seeing you again. Okay, I'm not going to like the post.
Right.
I mean, so how do we get to balance both?
We also look at it from a business perspective. The truth is, majority of people on social media are lurkers, right? They are not going to like, comment, share, or do anything. But yet, they're the same people like, oh yeah, I saw what you did. As Miss T, I saw the event that you did. They know. So you're still consistently branding all the time. So we have to also remember the large amount of our audience is people that will never engage. And we always have to keep that in mind. So never think that because they don't show engagement, we're not engaging them. We're still engaging them, but it's just not in a way where we're seeing the actual signals.
So to you women who are always looking out for the likes, because we like the likes. If we're not getting the likes, we always feel like, okay, this is not happening. People don't like my post, I'm going to stop. So from what he's saying, even if they're not liking it, just be consistent. Keep doing it, and just one day you could just boom, everybody gets to know you. Wow, I think I really loved the little session you had with me right now. And look, plan for next year, all right? Make sure that if you're not here this year, next year you come for this same event. It happens around the same time, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ms. Steve. Really appreciate it.
Seated right beside me is an eloquent and intelligent lady who is going to be informing us and describing her presentation here at this expo. Do take it away.
Hi, so my name is Awo Chimisi, and I am into real estate. I also own a restaurant and into procurement and other things. My presentation today was around effective networking. So we touched on skills that people need to effectively network, how to grow their social capital, and also how to make sure that they are networking efficiently and effectively. So taking it up the next level, setting goals, and also actively listening when they go and interact with people in those networking circles, and then how to make sure that they leave an impact so that when you have to go and follow up, the person can actually have something to remember you by. So those were some of the skills we were sharing with participants. We are also going to be talking about sickle cell disease, being the president of the Sickle Cell Association for the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. It's a passion of mine, so we're going to be talking about the role of the caregiver when it comes to sickle cell disease, and how the community can help improve treatment services care for people living with sickle cell.
Amazing. She's sure is going to have to come back on the show in the studio to talk to us much more about sickle cell disease and how caregivers need to be able to, pay more attention to those who have gotten the disease. Right now, let's go into the networking part that she mentioned about how you're going to be able to build your social capital. A lot of times people always feel like, okay, to build my social capital, I need to be able to do something out of the norm. Maybe I should do something chaotic or do something out of the norm. And as someone who is in this space, do you really think it's a very good way of launching yourself if you do something negative just to be able to get the attention?
I don't think so. The one key thing we teach when it comes to networking is being your true self. So that, authenticity and being genuine about who you are and also your interests, but also showing a genuine interest for the person that you are trying to network with. That is the only way to build trust, and that is the only way that you draw them in so that they can in turn engage with you, find out what it is you need, and then you build that mutual relationship which continues on to yield other results. So being genuine and authentic is key when it comes to networking and effective networking as such.
Genuine and authentic. So you just don't need to copy people because they are doing certain things. They are being authentic in their own way and are actually attracting the kind of network that they want. So what kind of network would you want to attract to yourself? You need to be genuine and authentic. Let's also look at how, if you get into a room, for instance, at this conference, I'm sure a lot of people are here to network. However, people still need to be able to warm up to each other. Walking up to someone to try to network or try to start up a conversation can be very difficult. So what can one do to be able to build that skill, at least first to be able to approach or to even be approached? Sometimes you approach people, you're so bold, but the person you approach is not really giving you the kind of, feedback you want. How do we work around things like this?
Interesting enough, we talked about this at the beginning of our networking session, and one of the things we did was to do a quick exercise where we asked people to talk to the next person, sitting next to them, ask them who they were, what they did, and then any kind of interesting thing about them. And one of the key things participants took from that session was the fact that a smile, just that initial smile, it's breaks so many walls. So you can approach somebody not knowing them, but you can go and say, what, I love that necklace, where did you get that? Oh, it's so beautiful, it brings out the color of your dress. And then with that, then you are going to probably exactly, and then you are then going to maybe say something like, oh, you know what, I got it from here, and then I might say, can I have the number, or do are they on social media? And then from there you build the conversation to the next level. So it's as simple as that. It's as simple as a compliment. It's as simple as a smile. It's as simple as, just kind of going up to them and sharing something that you might have heard them say while they were out there. If they're a speaker, you can say, I really love that presentation you did on such and such. How can I learn more information about it? And just by doing that, you've actually begun the networking process. And then what we also found was that some people would do that step, but they don't take it up the next level. And so what we taught participants was to set goals for yourself. And so if you are connecting with 10 people, set a goal that maybe out of the 10, you're going to take 5 people and you're actually going to follow up with. So do the next step, follow up, reach out to them, say hello, talk a little bit about, what you learned from that initial interaction and see where you might be able to take it up the next level. And that's sort of how you build that networking skill.
Wow, you need to take the networking experience the next level. So aside meeting the person, there, afterwards, you also need to be able to take it the next step. You don't just let it slide. We all need each other, and she's teaching us today that networking actually can be something that you could get a lot of bigger things, from. Because we actually have met, and I didn't take the step to even do something about it. I'm telling you all now. But interestingly, I've met her here today, and I'm going to be taking the next step to ensure that I do the right thing. I'm learning. Thank you so much.
Of you.
I'm being genuine and authentic.
There you go. There you go.
All right, we're back here at the Accra International Conference Center, and seated right next to me is Angel Livers. And she said in her profile in here that she likes connecting with people. She's also going to be making some presentations here at the conference, and I'd like her to describe what her presentation is like. Welcome, Angel.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate being here.
Great. Could you describe who you are to our audience?
So my name is Angel Livis. I am here by way of Washington, D.C., originally from Detroit. And so this conference, one of the things that I'm focusing on in conversation is communication. I think most of the panels that I am moderating and facilitating are around communication. So everything from social media to, or even advancing in your career. Like, what is your career path? What are some things that you should be focused on to ensure that you are successful? So I recently launched the first Black Woman on Podcast Network. And so we have 2 shows on our network right now, and we are accepting applications for more podcasts to be a part of the network. We just received an NAACP Image Award nomination. So thank you for one of the shows that I produce. And then the other show that's on the network is an original production of the Alive Podcast Network. So me in a nutshell, I'm a storyteller. I love to connect with people, as you mentioned. And I believe part of my gift is helping others feel alive by way of tapping into their truth and walking boldly in their purpose.
Wow, walking boldly in their purpose and talking career path acceleration. So, what tips would you be sharing with people watching us from home, as to what they're supposed to look out for or what they need to ask themselves to be able to, direct their path in terms of their career in a better way?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing is to know what you want. Know what it is that you want. Know why you want to do it. You really have to be able to identify what that why is. If you say, hey, I want to, like I did, launch a podcast network, but you don't know why you're creating it, when adversity hits, you're going to waver, you're going to shift, you're not going to really be able to stand in it because you don't have that solid foundation of understanding why you're doing it. I read in this one book, it talks about the power of your why. It's so powerful because if somebody offered you $10,000 to tightrope across a 50-foot building, 50-story building for $10,000, would you do it?
Of course.
For $50,000, you gonna tightrope across a building?
Depending on where I'm starting from, probably I can't even afford a
Try.
dollar.
You gonna try? Okay. Well,
I'm trying to be someone who doesn't have it all. Or are you asking me the question as like for me right now?
no, I'm just saying, like, would you do it? Right?
Okay, at my level, $10,000. I mean, it's not worth it.
Okay, exactly. Right? It's not worth it. Now, let me ask you this: do you have children?
Yes, I do.
What if your child was on the other end of the building and the building was burning? Are you going across?
For free.
Exactly. Your why determines whether or not you're going to exert a certain amount of effort to do something. And that's exactly why in doing business, you have to know what that why is. You have to be able to identify it because if it's a burning building and your child is on the other side, or if it's your business on the other side, you're going for it. But sometimes there's no amount of money The money doesn't matter when you know what your why is. So that's one of the things that will also be identifying, and like you said, like some of those things that are core to why you're doing certain things, um, or to be successful. Know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then I would say the next thing is to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in who you are and what you're capable of, you're already creating limitations for yourself and creating boundaries and barriers.
Okay, so in terms of communication, a lot of times people feel embarrassed to communicate because they feel they don't really have a grasp of the language. So it makes them feel a bit timid when it comes to voicing their ideas or even what they've got in their mind. Would you have something to say to someone who probably is struggling with, you know, language limitations? What can you do to be able to communicate your ideas and your dreams to people to make it fly for you?
So, first and foremost, you have to know what it is. And if you can't clearly articulate it, it's because you haven't clearly identified what it is. A lot of times, even if you just sit with it and just start to write that vision out. Even the Bible tells us you got to write that vision to make it plain. Once you know it and you've made it plain, then you'll be able to clearly articulate it to your audience. And it's important that you have to, and I mean this with the most respect, but you have to dumb it down to a level where the average person will understand. And when you think average, you're thinking like a third grade education. Okay. There's one company in particular that I work with, and they're in the life sciences industry. Most people don't understand life sciences. They don't understand, biomarkers and
All those big names?
all of these big words that if they're not part of our regular language, we it goes over our heads.
You don't relate at all.
We don't relate. So you have to be able to communicate in a way that one, it's easy to digest. You don't want to overwhelm people with big words and fancy things because you want to feel smart. In business, you have to always remember it's not about you. It's about how am I creating something that's going to help heal, make better, make somebody life. How am I bettering someone else's life with what it is that I want to create? And if you're able to do that, when you're talking about it, it's not about the fancy words. It's communicating this is why this is important and this is why you need it. And if you can sell the why you need something, not why I need it, people will buy into that.
Great. It has been wonderful and amazing, hasn't it? Thank you so much, Angel Livers.
Thank you.
Forward to having you in the studio whenever you're around.
Absolutely, would love to.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. We have got Chaz seated right here before me, and I would like her to introduce herself, and then we get on with the conversation. Welcome, Chaz.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me and being a part of this amazing conference.
Thank you. So please introduce yourself to our
Of
audience.
course. So my name is Chaz Kaiser. I'm the communications manager for the USAID-funded West Africa Trade and Investment Hub. And I brought with me, about 11 people strong here, 10 women and one man who is supportive of women. So yay, 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 yay. And we're excited to be at this conference and excited to be with you. And I'm the closing speaker for today.
Really?
Special guest, yes.
Very special guest. Okay, so what would your presentation be about?
Okay, my presentation is called The Hallmarks of Empowered Successful Women, and I'm going to share 5 qualities or hallmarks of what I think women who are successful in their own right, in their own way, the qualities that they embody. And then I'm going to try to tie it all in for this whole sisterhood that we've been experiencing and talk about the importance of supporting and empowering other women. Because if you're just out here doing things for yourself, you just wasted your day.
So could you just briefly tell us, I mean, for those of them who are here, they'll get the chance to hear in details everything you're going to be saying.
Okay.
But for those of us at home, could we just, just have a little bit of what, yeah, just a little bit.
Okay, so 5 hallmarks of successful, empowered women. The first is that you define your own reality. And so you define what is important to you, you set your own values, and you decide what is important for you. All right. The second hallmark of empowered successful women is that you create a clear vision for your future. And so you don't let society standards, the Kim Kardashians of the world, even the Beyoncés who we love, like you don't define your beauty based on their standards, and you definitely don't define your success. So whether you're trying to be in a 9 to 5 and you're working hard, whether you're trying to be in the corporate ladder and kick the guy who's sitting on the corporate ladder out of his seat, or just tell him to scoot over, right? So that's fine. And especially though, I want to say, whether you are a mother and the only thing you are doing is taking care of your children, that's a job. And so you need to just be happy with yourself. So just create a clear vision for your future and be just happy with what you define as success. The third hallmark is to run your own race. I'm sure you know, being a successful woman, that too often we're looking to the left, like, what is she doing? Looking to the right, what is she doing? And you really just need to be looking ahead. This is your own race. You're your own measuring stick. How many was that?
You've done 3.
I've done 3. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip one because they have to actually go on my website, chazkaiser.com, to see it.
Hi, chazkaiser.com.
Yes, and now I'll get to the last one, and that is empower successful women, support and empower each other women. And that's just to say that, what is the point of you excelling in anything, you succeeding in anything, if you're not reaching back and helping other women, and not just young women, because I learn from women who are younger than me. All right, so it's just supporting and empowering other women, not being in competition. And then for today's presentation, I'm making it interactive, and I'm going to explain how geese, which are not common. Do you know what a goose is? A lot of people know what a goose is because they don't have them in Ghana.
No, we don't.
Right. And so I'm gonna have to explain that it's a bird. That's, a white bird. I'm going to explain what women should have in common with geese. And why
Wow.
it's important.
So do we find that out too on kaiser.com?
I think there's some video of that on the website. Yes.
Hey, so you know it now, so check it out. Thank you so much, Chaz, for being with us. I know that you really have to rush and do other things, but you still gave me this time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. You can see me beaming with smiles because we've seen a familiar face. Remember Google Awards? We had this very lovely interview with Cynthia Kwaku, where she mentioned that she's grooming a woman that we're going to hear about. We look forward to it, and we'll always keep you posted, okay? I know the time is not up yet. That's why I'm not going to ask her about it, because once it's ready, she will let African women's voices know. So you're welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you. Good seeing you again.
To see you again as well.
Everywhere. That's amazing.
Issues, yes, issues around women. I'm just there.
Absolutely love it. I love it.
Great, Paul. So, you had this panel discussion around networking, and it's something that really interests me because I feel that women actually have a lot to do. However, we're not taking networking as seriously as we should. Could you tell our audience the importance of networking for today's woman?
I think, I look at networking as building connections, getting to know people. I don't really look at networking as a direct tool for business growth, but it's really the connections that you build that help you. So, we don't live on an island. Everybody is connected one way or the other. And so getting to genuinely know people, and when I talk about networking, people often think networking might end with, okay, people who are in corporate world networking. And so if I go into a particular organization or I meet somebody at a program, I'm gearing to meet the CEO because that's the most important person for me to meet. I don't actually believe that. I believe that networking starts from everyday life, your connections with people. And I often say to people that, look, sometimes it's not the CEO who opens the door. It could be the CEO's PA that opens the door. It could be the receptionist that opens the door. So it pays for you to be nice, number one, and pays for you to have a genuine interest in people. Because if you walked into an organization and you have a networking mindset, which is getting connected to people, it influences the way you deal with people. So when you walk in there, your attitude towards The receptionist is different because that receptionist could be a potential opportunity. It is that receptionist who might find out about something that the CEO doesn't have time to tell you about. So networking is absolutely crucial if you want to generate business and opportunities for yourself as an individual or as a corporate entity or even as an entrepreneur. Absolutely important for you to do that.
Wow, you were able to capture almost every aspect of networking in just one submission. She is so powerful. So before I get her to speak to the next issue, I'd like you to know that you could always reach out to us on social media at ETV Ghana and look us up on your YouTube and our YouTube pages as well. Okay, so back to the second question. She really has to be on a different panel, so we have to, be very fast about this. We want her to educate us on what we need to consider legally around our businesses, because entrepreneurship is something that everyone is trying to embrace, and we all need to be able to know that we need to do some legal things. So she's going to help us out with that. So I think you need this. Okay, so take it away.
The statistics that prove that in Africa, particularly in Ghana, women-led businesses, it's at a high. There's also statistics that prove that not all those businesses survive.
Okay.
In my view, the essential element to ensuring the growth of any enterprise lies with compliance of legal issues and regulatory framework. When you're building a house, the foundation determines how strong that house is going to be. And oftentimes people don't understand that, getting the legal elements right, and the legal elements can range from the right legal framework that you need for a particular business. So depending on the industry you're going to, people know, yes, I have to register with a register of companies. That's fine. I may have to register with GIPC. Yes, that's fine. I may have to register with SNIT. Yes, I may have to register with GRA. Yes. But if I'm in a particular business, I may also have to register with the Environmental Protection Agency. Yes, and all of that. It is absolutely important in creating the right systems for you to be knowledgeable about the legal framework that you have to operate within. Because if you don't get it right at the beginning, it'll come back and bite you. And oftentimes I hear young entrepreneurs or, people saying that, oh, I don't have the money to get an accountant, or I don't have the money to get a legal advice, or I don't have the money to whatever. There are a lot of lawyers and accountants there who are able to sit down with you and give you advice without charging you in the first place. But it's absolutely crucial that you're able to ensure that you're being compliant, because you know what? You start up a business because you expect it to grow. And that business is going to grow to a point where you may need excess funding. And it's often at that time that a lot of entrepreneurs realize they should have done certain things that they should have done in the beginning. Because if you're going to access funding, there's going to be a due diligence process that the lender is going to carry through. And the lender would want to ensure that you are compliant. So for instance, if you're required based on the industry or whatever business you're doing to have registered with a particular agency to do something, and you haven't done it because you're cutting corners, you're going to have to show that you have done it. So compliance and legal considerations are absolutely important. If you move to the next step of that, it's contracting. Every arrangement you enter into has to be legally bound one way or the other, from the importance of making sure that you protect your idea to how important it is for you to have the right policies when you're employing people based on the labor code. It's all important. So if you have a new idea you're sharing with somebody, the importance of having an NDA signed so that somebody doesn't take your idea away. The importance of probably getting into an arrangement, an MOU of some sort to detail what you're going to do. The importance of ensuring that you sign the right contracts and that you have somebody look at those contracts for you, because it will be a shame if you sign a contract not understanding what you signed only for it to go. So people have always look at legal considerations usually after, but legal considerations should really be part of the process of you deciding whether the business venture you're getting into is even feasible or viable or not.
Hello, Africa. We are still here at the AICC at the Global Women's Conference. And it's interesting to know that we've got someone really dear to women here in Ghana, especially when it comes to legal conversations. She's here today as a panelist and is talking to people about knowing their rights through widowhood and so many other forms. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I make welcome Marietta Brew. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Nice. So, if you could just tell us briefly what the presentation you're going to be making to the audience today is going to be about, especially knowing our rights, through widowhood, which really affects a lot of women.
Okay. Well, yes, we're going to talk about knowing your rights, but it's not just about widowhood. We're actually going to talk about the life cycle surrounding a working woman. So that starts from employment, marriage, divorce, and then, of course, widowhood. So among the topics that the various areas we'll be talking about, we'll talk about what are your rights in employment as a woman? Are there any special rights you have? What constitutes a valid marriage? What are the advantages of one marriage over the other? In divorce, what are the major issues that arise? Then when it comes to widowhood, what are some of the issues that we should look out for? What are your rights at that point in time? So basically, that's what we'll be talking about.
Wow, that's amazing. So, are you able to just give us maybe one of the rights we need to know, like around divorce and around marriage, one each?
Okay. So marriage, for example, um, you should watch out. One thing I always ask people to watch out for is that you should make sure that wherever you are registering your marriage, that is your ordinance marriage, is licensed to do so. That the people. So if it's a church, for example, has the church been licensed? Is the place licensed? Are the priest or whoever going to perform the marriage, are they licensed to conduct the marriage? Because there's a special certificate that is issued by and recognized by law, which I'm sure you've seen it before. It's a long certificate, blue and white. Yes. And in my practice I've seen some women say that we have an ordinance marriage, we're married in the church, produce your certificate, and it's not the one recognized by law. So what it means is that yes, you may have been married under customary law, which is a marriage, but then you are not married under the ordinance. So we should watch out for something like that. And then divorce, I think the most pressing issue for most women are property rights. So upon dissolution of marriage, what happens to property jointly acquired by spouses? That is one of the things we'll be looking at. But I believe I won't go further. Please, people need to come there and hear it.
So, we're going to extend our invitation one of these days to have you in the studio to talk more to us around our rights.
Thank you very much.
And you are welcome back to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show. Alberta is here with me at the Global Women's Conference at the AICC. And we all know Alberta as someone who has been championing conversations around agriculture and women in agriculture. And when we talk about backyard gardening, she loves it so much and has done a whole lot to ensure that people are able to get seedlings for their backyard gardening. Welcome, Alberta. So, how is the backyard gardening conversation and activation going?
It's going very, very well. We are happy. Our advocacy is yielding results even after 2 years. It shows the interest in nutrition now. It shows that people are more concerned now about what they are taking in, and people are also beginning to appreciate superfoods in boosting the immune system, which is part of all the things that we're promoting during the the peak of one household, one garden. Now we are scaling it up to the northern region, and we are the first phase. We are targeting 800,000 homes. We are going to support all these homes to. We are going to train them and support them to set up their backyard garden, provide some vegetable seeds and seedlings for them, and as well as some herbs as well. Because I think now that's the focus. That's the focus now. People, there is more resilience and there is more focus on what we eat and how we're able to grow it ourselves.
Fantastic. She's an advocate. Whatever it has to do with agriculture, you see her trying to get people to hear whatever idea she has. So I'm giving her the opportunity to speak to her stakeholders, particularly the government. What would you want them to do more in this space of backyard gardening?
uh, Backyard garden is not something new. We've read about what a champion was doing. Uh, we've read a lot about what other countries are doing. Uh, it's time the government genuinely focus on it. It's the way to go if we want to build security, if we want to build resilience, if we want to build sustainable farmers, then backyard garden is one of the sure ways to go, and it's one of the key COVID responses, and it's really have come to stay, and it will be very good for the government to see how they could practically adopt it in policy in any way to ensure that uh, everybody has a backyard garden.
Thank you very much, Alberta, for joining us on the African Women's Voices Show. We are still at the AICC at the Global Women's Conference organized by the U.S. Ghana Chamber of Commerce. And I've got somebody seated right next to me who is making me smile. I mean, she's a familiar face on the African Women's Voices Show, but interestingly, I met her here and she couldn't dodge. So I had to pull her into the interview to speak to us about her experience as a participant in this event. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Eunice.
Awesome. So for those of them who are meeting you for the very first time, could you introduce yourself to them and what business you're doing? Anything you want them to know.
Okay, hello, I'm Amma Ablode. I'm a media producer and consultant, amongst other things that I do to make money legally.
So as a participant, how would you say this program has gone?
The last session I just walked out of, the one on wealth creation, made me feel guilty about the terrible financial decisions I've been taking. We all want to be wealthy. I mean, at least most people I know want to be wealthy. And I also want to be wealthy. But unfortunately, we have daily habits that prevent us from realizing the dream of being wealthy people someday because of how we spend, how we treat money, how we think money works, and what we think an investment should be. So that particular session did something for me. It was a wake up call. You know, some of these things are things you're aware of, but sometimes when somebody points it out to you, especially a professional in the financial field, tells you that these habits are keeping you poor, it's a wake up call that you should change and do better. And also, one of the sessions, okay, so one of the speakers is somebody I've been trying to do business with her company for some time now, and I think meeting her is fast tracking things for me. So it's one of the good things about coming to events like this, the networking opportunities.
Whoa. All right. So could you share with ladies what are some of these habits? Does it have to do with our hair, our nails, our phones?
Our hair, our nails, our phones, all these three things are were things listed as examples of things sometimes we waste money on, you know? Yeah. So you just need to have a budget and be disciplined enough to stick to it. When you have a budget, you can actually now tell yourself, can I afford these things I want or not? And then if you can't afford it, you know that you can't afford it. Yeah. And we need to, and then they also talked about, using insurance as a way to build wealth because you cannot predict what tomorrow holds. So in your business, in your health, in your house, in your car, you need insurance to help shield you in case of any unforeseen, misfortune befalling your business and all. And like I said, these are things we know, but we don't always fall back on them so easily. But when a professional mentions it to you, you realize, okay, I really need to do something about it.
Actually present it in a way that makes us really see. Yeah, we know about insurance, but now you just made something clearer. You said it's a way of building wealth, and that's because it cushions you.
It cushions you, preserves what you've made, and yeah. And if not for anything, insurance can preserve what you make, what you have currently. So that's a plus. You can always build on when you have something. Then means that when you have two, once the two is preserved, whatever you earn can be added onto it. But if the two is all you have and there's no protection, once you lose that two, it means you have to start again.
That's very true. Amma, thank you so much for coming on to the African Women's Voices show and for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me, Eunice.
We are here at the AICC at the Global Women's Conference that is organized by the U.S. Ghana Chamber of Commerce. Good to know that the president for this conference is actually here, and she's going to be talking to us about what made her decide to put together something like this. She is none other than Florence. Florence, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, I saw how you've been all over trying to coordinate several things, and I'm happy that finally we get this time to talk, even if it's for a very short period. Thank you for giving us the time.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I apologize again for yesterday, but I am super, super excited to talk to you and do anything that I can to get the word out, which is what you're doing for women. So thank you for doing that.
You too. So could you tell our audience exactly what made you decide to have something as amazing as this?
Well, so I'd like to say that it was some grand idea, but great idea comes in very simple ways. So I was visiting the United States with a group of girlfriends in 2016, and a friend of mine offered to have a meeting with the women that I had come with and some Ghanaian businesswomen. And so as we sat and we started talking in the room, we realized the things that we had in common. And as we shared information back and forth, I realized the power in the room. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great to just expand this beyond this room? So that is how the idea for the conference started.
Wow, and it was with other women.
Other women. Other women. I mean, we were just talking about the things that were common to us, the things that we'd like to see. We talked about mentoring, moving our business forward, making an impact, growing our businesses, sharpening our professional and business skills. And as we started talking about it, I was like, this is a conversation that a lot of people have to hear. Because even the people that came with me, one is a marketing analyst, no, a consultant. The other one is a doctor. And even at that level, we still had things that we wanted to change. So most people would think that they had gone as high as they could. But there are still things that we may need to talk about. And so that is why the idea for the conference started.
This is so beautiful. All right, so I look at the wealth of resource persons you actually brought here. The participants that I've had to interview just before I did for you, they were all talking about the various sessions they had and how impactful it was. What really gave you the ideas around the kind of resource persons you're going to put together for this?
I lived in Ghana and I worked here. And so I worked in the public sector, but I also own my business, which is not very unusual in Ghana. So we understand the hustle. You see what I mean? But as I think through the things that you need to do, move your business to the next level. If you're talking about doing a business, you want to have a great idea. So where do you get great ideas from? From women that have been in the business. You know their experiences, you learn from the thoughts that went into selecting certain sectors. So we wanted to do that. My goal is for a woman to come to this conference, even if she did not have any business ideas, to listen to things that would trigger something in her mind that she would consider getting into. So once you get that, what is the next step? You have to be able to put your ideas on paper and ask somebody to give you money to fund that. So that is why we will do something on. So in terms of ideas, we did things on technology, agribusiness, social media, medicine, pharmacy, pharmacology, from drug development to retail, right? Just to get little ideas that somebody may sit down and think, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Let me look into that. So then we moved to the next stage, which would be funding. So we went to talk about how to write a good business plan to make sure that if you're going to ask somebody to give you money to bring your idea into fruition, you increase your chances of getting a yes than a no. And so once you are able to put a plan together, then the question is, where do I go to? And what are some of the considerations that a potential investor or a bank will look at in making a decision as to, do I give her the money or not? So we brought in somebody who is an underwriter to talk about their thinking and how they make those decisions. Then once you have the money to do the business, what do? You have to be able to take it to market. How do you do that? Marketing. And if you're marketing, again, what do? There are 100 people doing the same thing. How do you differentiate yourself? So that is the projection. So we do the various sectors for ideas, and we do things that are relevant to everybody, even if you're a business or you are a professional. These are things that you need to learn.
Wow, wow, wow. Florence is amazing. She broke everything right down into bits. And we are all encouraged by this initiative of hers that has brought all of us here together. And will this be happening next year?
Yeah, that's the goal. So this is the third in the series. We had the first one in Ghana in 2018. We had the second one in Philadelphia in 2019. This was originally scheduled for 2020, but COVID happened. So we did all of the work, and 2 days to the conference time, the whole world was changing. And so we had to reschedule that. But we were determined to bring it to Ghana because the need and the response we get, and Ghana is home. Ghana is home. So I'm super happy. Any excuse to come to Ghana, I will. But so we're going to do it again. I think we'll have one in the United States, and then but next year for sure, the plan is to come to Philadelphia, to Ghana.
All right, because I mean, we had a number of people who were asking if there was an online version yesterday when Alexis came on the show. So maybe
We
you
did.
want
We
to.
provided that. We provide, but very late. And so, but so strategically, we wanted to provide that. But you see, the women that have come here, look at the networking that has been done and the connections that have been made. You can't do that online. You see what I mean? So balancing the convenience of having a virtual conference, the technology was there. We provided it yesterday. It just was not heavily promoted because the truth is people have to know what you do so that when the business opportunity comes, they know you are part of the thinking as to who should get it. And so we made a decision that being virtual, you would miss out on that. We provided it, but it was not heavily marketed because the connections are in this room.
All right, so those of you who are watching, look out for whenever the announcement comes as to where the next Global Women's Conference is going to be happening, and you plan towards it financially and even psychologically. Be prepared. Thank you so much, Florence, for having this time with us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.